We all have different emotions and different ways of expressing feelings, but people may surprise you, and sometimes you can't predict their reaction. So with that in mind, what would you do if a judge sentenced you to life in prison? Wouldn't that be upsetting? After he confessed to a robbery, killing a 20-year-old woman, and wounding her boyfriend, his guilty plea was denied during his court hearing in the Cincinnati, Ohio courtroom. When the boyfriend didn't have any cash when Smith Riley approached the car with two others to rob them, Smith Riley shot him in the head, permanently damaging his brain. After that, he shot the girl, killing her 3 days later. While delivering a victim impact statement, the girl's sister said that he should deal with life without parole, as she deals with life without her sister. Then, he collapses to the floor and burst into tears after being sentenced to life in prison without parole for murder and attempted murder. Carpio was questioned by the police for the stabbing of an 85-year-old woman in Rhode Island. He was interviewed by 2 detectives, and one of the detectives left the room to get water for Carpio, leaving him alone with the other detective, Sergeant James Allen. Carpio grabbed Allen's gun and then shot him twice, killing him. He then jumped out of a window, which was on the 3rd floor, and made a run for it. He was caught 45 minutes later. At his arraignment, he came in wearing a mask designed to stop the offender from spitting and biting at others. It wasn't so much Carpio who had a shocking reaction, as it was his family accusing the police of using excessive force while yelling and sobbing that Carpio was mentally ill and didn't deserve it. After an FBI investigation, it was clear that Carpio's injuries were due to his jump from the 3rd floor. This 27-year-old was convicted for the 2011 murder of St. Petersburg police officer David Crawford. The policeman was responding to a car break-in near where he saw Lindsay. Lindsay, who was only 16 at the time, shot the policeman 5 times, even though all he had in his hand was a notebook. However, this would not be Lindsay's first time receiving a life sentence. The first time, he was given a life sentence without a hearing, which was considered to be unconstitutional. Although the victim's family was present in court, Lindsay showed little to no interest in the second hearing and chuckled when he learned that the second conviction was the same as the first one. So, the reason he received the first sentence without a hearing is therefore obvious. 46-year-old Ricky Hand was in court on multiple charges of armed robbery, and he wasn't very happy about the sentence after the judge informed him that he would be spending at least 40 years in prison. Now, nobody expected a reaction like this when Ricky reached for something under his arm and took out some pill bottles. Well, he didn't take any pills. Instead, he filled these bottles with his body liquids and attempted to throw samples at the judge. Luckily, he was quickly stopped by the security. Kewan Bird and his friend Michael Smathers had spent a night out at a strip club where Lucaci was working as a security guard. They exited the club for a while to rest in Michael's car before returning. Lucaci parked next to them and started getting ready for his shift, which included putting on a vest, gloves, baton, knife, a gun, and ammunition. As Kewan and Michael got out of the car to return to the club, Lucaci shot Kewan in the back 8 times, killing him, while Michael was left paralyzed from the waist down. Angry at Lucaci for killing his kid pointlessly, Kewan's father was shouting and screaming at him in court, so security took him away to calm down. Lucaci did not offer any evidence during the trial, didn't testify, and didn't accept court-appointed standby counsel. He alleged insanity and requested to be put in a mental institution instead of prison, but he was given a life sentence after being found guilty of attempted murder and second-degree murder. During a 90-minute car chase, he was found guilty of multiple felonies, including attempted manslaughter, child abuse, and car theft. He stole a car outside a gas station with a 4-year-old inside before crashing it into a van. He dragged the van driver out by her legs before stealing it and hitting a state trooper who was laying a tire deflating device, resulting in a broken leg. Before being taken into custody, he hit more cars. He was caught on camera while he was in jail, bragging to a friend about imitating a computer game and wanting to get paid for the racing clip that was posted online. He begged the judge for a break after being found guilty, sobbed, and blamed drugs for his actions. He was sentenced to 160 years in prison for the rest of his life after being found guilty on 18 of the charges. Eric's behavior can be described in many ways, but child abuse is just one of them. When his son was 3 months old, he was shaken so violently that he became permanently disabled. He couldn't hold his head up and had a fractured neck, brain injury, hearing loss, and blindness. His foster parents said they had been caring for disabled and abused children for many years, and that the infant will always require assistance with bathing, feeding, and dressing, in addition to receiving painkillers. Because of Eric's prior history of robbery and federal gun offenses, the highest charges were requested. Eric received the harshest punishment possible for his crimes, arrested on child endangering charges as requested by the prosecution. He had an outburst as he was being removed from the courtroom, yelling and swearing at the judge and claiming that he was innocent and hadn't done anything wrong. Erica and Shanita, a couple from Summerville, South Carolina, were given life sentences for the murder of a 3-year-old girl. The young lady had been paying a visit to her godmother and her mother's best friend at their Summerville house. She was beaten with a belt and plastic coat hangers by both Erica and Shanita. The bottoms of the girl's feet were the only parts of her body that were unharmed. They both collapsed and were having a panic attack in the courtroom when they found out that they would be spending the rest of their lives in prison. It was quite a show. Both women had to be picked up off the floor by court personnel, who then secured them in chairs before wheeling them outside. A 14-month-old infant died in a house fire in 2015 while at home with his 17-year-old brother. He initially faced a murder charge, and in October 2021, he pleaded guilty to the crime. After lighting his house on fire and killing his brother, he was charged with third-degree arson, unlawful conduct with a child, and involuntary manslaughter. According to the court, Jacob started 2 fires before leaving the house and leaving his brother inside. Although he hasn't officially said how the fire began, he later claimed that he set a pillow on fire and tossed it into the air. Jacob sobbed hysterically, begged, and prayed in one hearing, with his eyes full of fear. He was then carried out of the courtroom crying before being accused of killing his brother and setting the fire. Despite his mother's claims that he had mental problems and that he loved his sibling, he received a 15-year prison term. TJ Lane was sentenced to life without parole after murdering 3 high school students and injuring another 3 while on a shooting rampage in 2013. At his sentencing, Lane was listening to the testimony of the victims' families while wearing a white t-shirt that read "Killer," smiling his way through their comments. When it was time for his statement, he didn't listen to the advice his lawyer gave him. Instead, he confirmed that he felt no remorse about the massacre and that he even enjoyed it. It was clear that he didn't care if he got a life sentence or the death penalty. He just wanted to create additional disturbance for the families of those he killed, flipping them the bird. On a related note, which reaction did you consider to be the worst? Let us know in the comments section below. If you'd like to see more amazing videos such as this one, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.